Hello, everyone. Welcome back. This is another one in my author interview series. And today I'm interviewing my very good friend, Mary. I'm going to give her a little bit, a chance here to introduce herself. Just let us know about who you are and what you do.
Hello, I'm Mary, and I am currently an associate with Walmart. I am in the process of doing many things and trying to contain myself with 35 to 40 hours worth of work at Walmart. And then I'm also in the middle of working on some opportunities to sign books and create opportunities with the book that I have written, and so do that. I'm a mother of three amazing sons, and I'm also a veteran, so I wear many hats within one little body, probably like many of you do. So,
Hmm.
yeah, that's kind of where I'm at. I also run a website, a page, my personal page,
Hmm.
chime in with you guys and just maintain kindness and hopefulness.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, thank you for all the ways that you serve. From being a veteran for serving in even at Walmart, beyond Walmart, you've been even through your book, we'll get into that, but you have been creating inclusive employment opportunities for many. So that, that is something that you do. And also, I think I know you just mentioned about your page, but your whole page is about inclusion and, and making a place for everyone. So, like I said, thank you for all the ways that you serve. You do make a difference.
Thank you.
Yeah. So, about the book, how did you get into writing?
2020 is a weird year.
It sure is.
I have, by being a veteran, I had issues with PTSD and anxiety. And so when it became mandatory for us to wear masks at work, I was like, there's no way. I'm claustrophobic on top of everything else. And so in reality, I stepped back and I had the time and I did it. So I took 6, 7 weeks off and just kind of reevaluated where I wanted to be with my life and what I really wanted to do. But I was struggling so hard just to get my business out there, just to get my name out there and stuff. And so I stumbled on one of your pages that said, all it said was right, just right. I'm like, whoa, wait a minute. Ding, ding. Oh, okay. So, I spent 6 weeks just putting stuff down on paper and, you know, to me it made sense. And it's like, you know, let's just see where this goes. And then we were like, hey, we could do this with, a few helpers and this and that. And next next thing I know, 6 weeks is over. I'm back at work, and I'm like, I send my manuscript, and boom, here, here's this little over 100-page book that told my story, and be honest with you, I had never told my story, so for me, it was like I was ecstatic if one person bought my book. That was my whole accomplishment. So yeah, that getting into writing when you literally have not a lot to do with your time and you're trying to teach Zoom to your son. I've never taught Zoom, and look, here we are today, and so it was, a nice change of pace and definitely way out of my comfort zone. But here we are. So
Yeah. Oh, and I didn't even know that you stumbled on my one of my pages and just saw the post about just right. I didn't even know that part of your story. So thank you
yes,
for
ma'am.
sharing that. I know that we have a mutual
Yep.
friend who also is the editor of your book. Catherine Hughes is kind of the one who connected us initially. Um, and so I am grateful that God sends people on a path to help us with these things that he puts in our heart. Like your story has always been your story, and you had it, and you kind of like you see, never shared it. And Kathy and myself were just like, this story needs to get out. People need to hear this. And when we said that, we didn't even know all the other details. We just knew about the big picture of the employment piece, but all the over personal, stories and personal growth that was woven into that was just made it so beautiful. We both cried reading the manuscript, happy tears, and was so proud of you, and just, yeah. And now the book is out, and and like you said, sometimes we don't, we have to get, not sometimes, always actually, it's when we get out of our comfort zone that we achieve, greatness, we achieve the things that we're about to do. Nobody grows in their comfort zone. So thank you for,
Yeah,
again, for stretching yourself. Yeah.
yeah. Well, and that's that just goes with the saying that Kayleen, who's mentioned in my book, has always said you got to be uncomfortable to be comfortable. So yeah, whoa, that's all I've got on that one.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. But it helps, like you said, with having people, around you to support your goals, so you're not doing it alone. You had asked the team at Grayson Consulting, helping with the editing, the creating promotional graphics, coaching you along the way, and then publishing the book. But you also had others who were helping with other piece of your business. So you kind of had a tribe, walking with you on this journey, of sharing your story in different platforms. So kudos to you for choosing not to do it alone.
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
Great group of people all the way around.
Hmm. Hmm. So when you do write, when you are writing, even with your book, from the inside out, as you're writing, like, how did you get into the flow of writing? Like, the inspiration is your own story, but then sometimes as writers, we're like, oh, I have this great story, but putting it on paper, it's so hard. So for you, like, what helps you do that? Kind of helps you get through the process, if you want, of writing.
Well, for me, writing is it was different for me to see it on paper as opposed to living, because I've lived exactly what's in my book.
Right.
And for me to get into a flow of it, I'm be honest with you, Shu, when we finally sat down and set goals, and I was literally one or two or three chapters into it. I'm an overachiever in some cases where when somebody gives me a goal, I want to be done 2 days before or a week before. So
Yeah.
I could go hours and hours with writing. I mean, like with the chapter I have coming up, I have nothing down, but I've written it all in my head. But it's one of those things where when you get into a flow, it's like, wait, I need to do a chapter break here because you're just going.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I'm still the queen of run-on sentences, but I'm getting way better at them. And then so for me to get into a flow, I could spend 4, 5, 6 hours just typing.
Mm.
And ever since I've written my book, I have actually taken more time to write stuff down because it can be something important to somebody later, just like my book was. So it's all about a zone, and you set a goal, and because like tomorrow I'll probably write my chapter on I quit. That's just
Mm.
me because I have tomorrow off, and my son's home, so I literally am not stuck, but we have stuff to
Mm-hmm.
do. But I could easily have my chapter done in 4 or 5 hours.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
know, it's all about, for me, it's a visual. And so
Mm-hmm.
it's all in my head. And then when I pin it down, I probably write it 5 more times before I even send it. So it's a visual. I think a lot in pictures. And so
Mm-hmm.
I
Mm-hmm.
think anybody that reads my book will realize that. Even my son said that. Mom, you
Mm-hmm.
draw such a unique picture.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
Mm-hmm.
dude, okay, well, that's everybody learns a different way, and that's how I do it. Everything's a picture.
Yeah, yeah. And that's also what makes you unique as the author. Because anybody can write, like you mentioned the I Quit chapter. For those who are listening and watching, we're working on a novel collaboration through my company, Grayson of Consulting. It's going to be a collaboration project. The title of the book is I Quit, and each one of us is kind of sharing something that we decided to quit or choose to quit in order to achieve a more fulfilling life. And it's going to be coming out on January 2nd. And it's kind of a whole um, New Year resolution revolution, if you want, because people usually for New Year's they set goals and be based on what society wants them to do or what they think they should do to please someone else, to look good in front of someone else. And with the I Quit book, it's kind of like own what, own your journey, choose and set goals that you want, and let go of the things that no longer serve you. And so that's book that you mentioned. But what I was going with that is that as we write, we're all kind of writing or chapters or stories in that book, but we all take different angles, right? We all have a different way, like you said, learning and also of sharing. So someone might be like very chronological, like sharing, like, this is what happened first, this what happened next, and this is what happened at the end. And for you, it's more like painting this full picture that takes the reader into the experience. And although I wasn't there when you live your story, it's like I feel like I'm living it when I read it. So it's amazing. That's honestly, it makes your writing really unique.
Thank you. Thank you.
You're welcome, welcome. So, what advice will you give any new authors, writers out there?
My advice is you've got to start. You've got to find a place to start. And once you start, write it down, and just keep. If you need to, you keep rewriting it. I mean, I understand we all get writer's block. I went through a section of my book where I literally had to stop because it overwhelmed me. It will overwhelm you. But even when you're overwhelmed, sometimes it's okay to pen down those things that you're overwhelmed about because somewhere else in the book it might fit. So just keep writing, and um, even on the hardest days, there's something within you that, depending upon what your book is about, that moment of that time, write that down. You never know where it's going to fit within your book, and it's okay to think outside the box. It's okay to write it 100 times in your head and 50 times on paper. Just keep doing it. It's not easy. I will tell you, I struggled, but with every line that I wrote, I was that much closer to my book being done.
That's really good advice. Like, just keep writing, and you get better at it as you go. And I think you mentioned that earlier when we first started, chatting here, how your writing is improving as you write. And I think that's true for all of us. And I know that people often say, like, practice makes perfect. I think practice makes better. I think if you feel like you're achieving perfection, then you're never going to improve. You're never going to grow. So I think even for those of us who've been writing, well, like, 20 some books, it's like keep writing, because the more I write, I'm like, even just recently with the same book you're talking about, I'm like, oh, I can do this differently next time, because I'm learning from my experiences, from the past books, from the past writing projects, and I'm improving so that I can get better and better at my craft. So definitely just keep writing, and be willing, always open to learning. And you never know. I like what you also said about um, but like when even you get stuck and it gets really overwhelming and emotional, it's okay to write that down somewhere, because that could also help someone. Because sometimes we get focused on just the story and we leave the emotions out of there. I think what captures the audience attention, what helps the audience, your readers, connect with you, are those emotions. That's actually what unites us as humans, like how we feel, right? So it's okay to bring those feelings into your writing, and actually, let your audience feel it with you. They connect with you more, when you do that. So yeah, thanks for sharing that.
Yeah.
So for yourself, like, what had helped you along the way, in your writing journey? I know you said, like, just keep writing and having, people around you that kind of help you, work on your writing goals. But is there anything or anyone else that helped you along the way?
I think a lot of it has to do with my family and a friend that was my boss that developed into a friend after we found each other again and again. That's in my book. They challenge me each day to be the person that I am, but my family is the type of people that, mom, you do have something you need to share this. Mom, you need to be able to do this. Mom, you need to be able. Mom was never a public speaker until she got in with her friend Kayleen. Um, you know, am I perfect? Nope, but I am me, and I am genuine. So you the more you communicate with those that are near and dear to you, you realize if they're telling you you need to say something, they're listening to people that are saying, hey, mom, these people need to hear what you're saying. So you keep writing and you keep making yourself a better you. I guess is how I would put it. So I just things come to you, and so to be honest with you, the folks around me are amazing. And then if they say, hey, you need to do this, then oh, what do? I go write it down. You know, so I guess I have I have probably a really tight support group, and it's one of those that they're not afraid to communicate what they're feeling and what they're seeing, and it blows me away every day. I'm so blessed. So
Yeah, nice. That's really nice to hear. And yeah, we all need those people who see in us more than what we can see in ourselves sometimes. I know I needed that. And when I started, and even now, like when I'm here, like supporting all of you and helping you see, your vision, the bigger picture, and how you already can help others, I still need people to do that for me as well. So it's good that, it's always good to have those people who can not just coach you along the way, but, be your cheerleader, be sometimes, carry that vision for you until you can see it for yourself.
yeah, we spend I personally spend a lot of time being a lot of people's cheerleaders because even like an example my husband just gave me today. You walk into a gas station and this guy doesn't want to be there. He's like,
Mm,
you know what? You make it positive. But it's like with my boys being autistic. You be their
mhm,
cheerleader. I'm your cheerleader because you've had folks in the hospital and stuff. I'm always here, and you know what? Even though I'm your biggest cheerleader, my message box, my text messages are always open because regardless of how busy I am, it still comes across my phone, and I'm still here. I deal with a lot of different stuff being in customer service, so you have to be people's biggest cheerleader because it makes them feel comfortable. And I'm in a position right now where, people are looking at me going, well, you didn't get promoted. Why? Because I'm ready to be somebody else's cheerleader.
yeah. Oh, yeah, you and I can talk all day. You're so inspiring and so encouraging, even just for me listening to you. But what do you know now that you wish you knew then?
What I know now is
Mm,
I know now that people needed to hear my story 10 years ago, but I wasn't ready 10 years ago. I didn't have that opportunity 10 years ago. So fast forward to now, and I'm not ashamed to tell my story. And now I realize how much I'm appreciated as opposed to what I used to. My story does mean a lot. And when your son comes to you and says, hey, mom, I can see this just by what you wrote. So, when your son says that after living with you for those amount of years, going through retail and stuff, then you've done something well. And if he would have been the only one I sold my book to, that meant everything. And he's only on chapter 7. So, when your family member says, hey, you've got this right, then you've done something right. And so, yeah, I'm no longer ashamed to tell my story. In fact, I have more to add to it. That's why it's a fairly open read. So, yeah, I'm ready.
yeah. And like you said, there's so much more to add. And part of me, and I know, as your publisher and and someone and a good friend, I can be here like, I think it's time to start thinking about book number two. But I also know, like you said, you have to be ready. But I knowing you personally, I know of this transition that you're going through. There's a whole new book coming out because that transition is an experience that the world also needs. People need that. It's like, now what, because a lot of what you talked in the book is a lot of what happened then, and a little bit of like what recently happened. But I think there's you are morphing into this, your true self. And like you see, you're no longer ashamed to share your story, and you're kind of coming out and showing your true colors, which is beautiful. You are just a beautiful person, like, and those of us who know you even just a little bit are so blessed to know you. And I think that next chapter of your life, is definitely going to be in another best-selling book.
Yeah, it's exciting. And I will tell you, it humbles me because I have to be, I'm a very guarded person. I'm a humble person. So, for me to, like when we did my book launch and stuff, and I'm all like, whoa, whoa, number one, for me, that's a rubber because, you don't see yourself in that light. Again, you go back to being the cheerleader all the time. And the first time you ladies said you appreciated me, that not coming from my normal group of people was like, whoa, what? So yeah, I'm excited to see where I go with them. To be continued.
Exactly, to be
uh,
continued. Yeah. And speaking of, those number ones, I know when they start coming, it was even in categories that you didn't expect. Like, the book is about your experience, as a person with autism, raising boys with autism, working in retail, and trying to pave the way for inclusion for others. But then so getting number one new release in the autism category on Amazon was like, okay, that's the book I wrote about. I get it. And then you got you, I think, was your number one also in the organizational psychology, and you're like, whoa, shoot, what happened? Where does that come from? And it was just, and the cats kept just going. So I am again, so proud of you, and just so humble to call you friend. And I can't wait for your next book for sure. And I know how to get a hold of you. So how about others who are hearing your story and hearing about you and your work, and are like, oh my goodness, I want to be keep in contact. Where can people find you?
um, I have my page is, or actually my Instagram is Awesome Angels, hashtag Awesome Angels. I have a page, Awesome Angels Awareness Inclusion, on Facebook. It has um, I have a website, includingeveryone.org, which is under the same Awesome Angels Awareness and Inclusion. Um, I just use my name on my personal page for Mary Nixon Hahn, and Nixon Hahn is all ran together. Facebook just likes to mess with me, I guess. And then I'm on LinkedIn under Mary Hahn. I think that's about enough because everybody keeps wanting me to jump wants me to go other places, and I just